Hello and welcome to From Digital to D&D. In this series, a character from fiction is taken and given a usable stat block for you to use in your games of Dungeons & Dragons. For those of you unaware, each episode of this series will be broken down into the following sections. The character introduction, where I attempt to explain the background of the character. The feature breakdown, where I point out what aspect of the character I will be attempting to convert. The stat block, where the stat block is shown off and certain elements are discussed. And finally, the plot hooks, where I explain possible uses for the character in your games of D&D. Naturally, any character that features in this series belongs to their respective owners. The Angels of the Emperor have already descended, but now their honoured battle brothers answer the call. Behold the honourable, the venerable, the eternal Dreadnoughts.
I am merciless fury. Cleansing rage. I am the Angel's vengeance.
Dreadnoughts are a special form of Astartes. I have already explained the origin of the Space Marines in their own video, which you're welcome to check out. Dreadnoughts share their origins with the Astartes. To briefly summarise, the Emperor of Mankind sought to unify the galaxy under his rule, under the Imperium of Man. He created a form of super soldier known as the Astartes to serve as his fighting force. The Space Marines were his sword and countless battles were waged across the stars. But the Astartes are not immortal, nor are they invincible. A Dreadnought, specifically the machinery, was a special form of technology hailing before the days the Emperor appeared. Essentially, a person could be hooked up to the machinery and it would keep them from dying no matter their injuries. The Emperor chose to entomb his greatest Astartes within these walking tanks so that they may continue their duty. Few Astartes would or could receive this honour, but the honourable warriors within would be some of the greatest warriors of the Space Marines. Sadly, close to half of the Space Marines fell to the ruinous powers of chaos and turned on the Emperor. This included the Dreadnoughts of the legions who turned traitors. They say in the grim darkness of the future there is only war, and for Dreadnoughts within the 41st millennium, this is a fact. When they are not actively serving in battle, they enter hibernation to await the time the honoured battle brothers must be awoken again. Dreadnoughts are walking tanks. They are somewhat slow and bulky, at least the less fancy versions, but they make up for that with firepower. Most Dreadnoughts have an arm carrying a heavy weapon such as an assault cannon, plasma cannon, heavy flamer, or something that would be impossible for even an Astartes to wield properly. The other arm is usually some form of arm appendage with an inbuilt weapon. Dreadnoughts are strong, being able to lift and toss heavy marble statues with great force. It usually takes something as big as a Dreadnought to match its might. Due to being comprised of dense metal, dealing damage to a Dreadnought is difficult without using heavy caliber weaponry. Even regular bolt fire is not able to pierce its armour. There is truly no better way to describe a Dreadnought than as a walking tank. To be honest, making a Dreadnought was fairly simple. You can look through this sheet at your own pace if you want to, though I do have a few highlights. The Dreadnought is durable, with a high armour class, plenty of health, and resistance to common damage types. With its great strength, it can overpower almost any target and turn even the greatest fortifications into rubble. Being in melee with a Dreadnought is risky as it can bring the pain, but its ranged weaponry is even more deadly. The assault cannon will turn most creatures into mist, and the heavy flamer will burn people to ash. If the Dreadnought grabs you, it will have a far easier time burning you alive. But, just like a normal Space Marine, the Dreadnought can use different weapons. Each weapon offers new ways of pain, but comes at the cost of replacing a different weapon. You can mix and match what the Dreadnought carries to better fit the warrior entombed inside. Not every weapon a Dreadnought can carry is listed, but I'd say these are the most common. Woe to whoever stands in the path of a Dreadnought. Dreadnoughts are harder to use than an Astartes. That is because they only serve one purpose: killing. When they are not needed for a battle, the Dreadnought sleeps. They may sleep for centuries, but they know only war. So the most obvious place to use a Dreadnought is on a battlefield. But not just any battlefield. It must be a battle dire enough to require a Dreadnought. The Imperium doesn't usually wake them up unless they have to. But what about another approach? As I suggested in the Space Marine video, you could have a few Astartes arrive in your setting by accident. It's not impossible for there to be a Dreadnought among them. It varies on what chapter/legion of Space Marines they are, but I would guess the initial response is for the Dreadnought to remain as a guard. Expanding on this, maybe the party have entered a long-forgotten tomb and found a hulking beast of metal. It appears inert at first, but the engines roar to life and the Dreadnought rises. Unless the party are able to somehow convince it otherwise, the Dreadnought is likely to open fire. Don't forget, the Dreadnought holds the same views as most Astartes do about non-humans and heretics. A notable difference between Dreadnoughts and Space Marines is that their conviction is stronger. They are usually more resolute in their ways and harder to sway from their path. But this is assuming the Dreadnought is hostile. The Dreadnought may be on the same side as the party, and those of you who have played Space Marine 2 know how incredible of an ally a Dreadnought makes. If you are to unleash a Dreadnought, make sure you pay it proper reverence. But with that, we've reached the end of today's video. Before you head off, I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope you managed to get something out of this. If you feel like helping out, you can become a patron using the link in the description and gaining access to special features. The stat block for the Dreadnought is available on D&D Beyond for free, and the link to it is in the description. I hope you all have a great day, and may your dice roll favourably. Goodbye for now.